Have you ever felt frustrated in your relationships? Feeling like neither of you are happy or getting what you want? Well, I definitely have, and it took me a lot of years to be able to get what I call now essentially my dream relationship, where I get everything that I could ask for, up to and including the ability to go over and approach girls when I'm out with clients to show them how it's done. And for someone who is quite a protective girlfriend, that's quite a tall order. It's not great that your boyfriend's going talking to other girls. And that is all being done without me being some kind of manipulative tyrant that's keeping her there. Instead, I owe it all to what I call the OYM method, because for me, I definitely wasn't always like this. Back in my first relationship, and right, this is gonna go personal, okay? But even down to like the most intimate element of our relationship, say I was laying in bed with her and I was feeling, for lack of a better word, horny, and I just wanted something, I would never have the courage to be able to ask for anything. I would simply be like, I'd sort her out. So if I sort her out, in my head, I'd be like, okay, so I'm gonna sort you out, and then I'm just gonna expect her to do the same thing back to me. And if she didn't, I'd throw a tantrum, I'd be upset. But it came back to the fact that I never really stated it. And anyone who's familiar with the book No More Mr. Nice Guy, which is an amazing book for men's mental psychology and relationships, they know this falls under a certain term called covert contracts. What I was doing was setting up this unspoken contract with her of, oh, well, if I sort you, you're definitely going to sort me, right? And I'm going to throw a strop if I don't. And I never let her agree to that. She had no idea that was going on. So suddenly out of the blue, I'm just throwing a strop for no reason at all. And I'm just there like, oh, I don't get what I want in this relationship. Da, 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 da. And it comes back to the fact, I never even asked. I wasn't brave enough. This even played out. I remember a time, like I'm not painting myself in a good light here. My first relationship was full of failures, which you guys now get to learn from. We hadn't seen each other for a little while, like I'd had to move away, so it was the first time we got to see each other for like a month. And when she turned up, she just, she was dressed incredibly casually and not exactly in a way that I expected for us seeing each other for the first time. So I kind of threw a strop again that, oh, it felt like you didn't put effort in, all this kind of thing. But it was the same problem again. I never told her what we were going to meet up in. I never spoke this out. And this was something that ended up ruining that relationship, and it made me constantly frustrated. It made her frustrated, and it meant that neither of us got what we wanted. So then fast forward a little bit more, and once again, why not share all this stuff on the internet? I was in bed with a different girl, and that same situation happened again, where I was like, I'm kind of feeling activated, let's say. But instead of trying to do my covert contract, I decided this time I was going to be bold, and I simply asked her if she would be up for sorting me out. And she just looked at me and was like, okay. And I was, honestly, my mind was blown at this point, because I'd put it on the line, you know? Like for me, I definitely had a fear of sexual rejection. Like I was a bit sexually insecure, probably still am to a certain level. Like it's something that had always stuck with me from being younger. And to do that request was scary, it was vulnerable. And that's what it always is. When you're putting yourself out into the world, you set yourself up for them to say no. So we often don't do it. We're too scared to admit that there is something that we could want and they could give it to us. So my mind was absolutely blown. Not only that, she was super happy afterwards. She was like, just happy that she was able to do me a favor or whatever that I'd asked, and she was just happy to do it. And then a little bit later, I remember I was in a relationship with another girl where we'd been seeing each other for a little bit, maybe, I don't know, over a month. And some friends had invited us out to go for a walk, and I was like, cool, why not? I brought her with me, and my friends were super like chatty and like open to talking to her and asking her questions. But she was just really reserved. Like, she had this wall up and it was almost borderline, it was rude. Like, she didn't respond to these questions and I was just almost embarrassed at how it had gone. So then when we got in the car and we left, I could tell I was frustrated. Like, I wasn't happy. This wasn't what I wanted out of a relationship. And old me, I know exactly what he would have done. He would not have said anything. He would have acted resentful for quite a while. The silent treatment, that had fucking come out. I know that for sure. And then she'd have just had to try and figure out what's going on and try and respond to that. But instead, we drove back, we stopped off at Tesco's, we pulled in at the car park, and we were just about to go inside. And then a voice inside me said, no, don't do this yet. So I stopped and got her to wait in the car. And I told her, just like, hey, I'm not too sure what was going on for you back there, but that was important to me. You were meeting my friends and I feel like they were really open with you and were really trying to get to know you. But it didn't, from my perspective, feel like you were engaging with them very well. It almost felt like you were just stonewalling them, which is bizarre because I don't think that's you. But in that moment, it just kind of came across rude, like what was going on. And she responded, and it turns out she had like a bunch of things going on for her that were getting in the way of her being able to be open and free. But she accepted it and she apologized for how she'd behaved. And because of that, we ended up moving forward and having such a better relationship. And the next time she met my friends, she was way more open, she was way more talkative. And because of that, I managed to get the relationship that I wanted there and keep rolling the clock forward. I've been building this skill for years, and now I get to the relationship that I'm in right now, where I've been able to do this. I'm able to ask, hey, there's this thing, and I'd really appreciate it if when we do this, you're able to do this. And sometimes she might say no, but by and large, people will do, like, they'll say yes. If your request is reasonable, it's like, I'm not asking her for some absolute moonshot things. Approaching thing aside, I am very appreciative. If you're watching this, thank you. Like, that would genuinely cause a lot of chaos in most relationships. But most of my other requests are just normal ones that any couple would be able to ask for. And it's meant that the relationship I have now is really strong. Because do you know what happens when you get comfortable asking for things? They get comfortable asking for things from you. So you both get to end up working on this and having the relationship that you want. There's a bunch of times that she's been asking me the things that I do wrong, which I've then worked to improve upon. I remember, was it one girl that I was dating that, because I was doing this, she asked me, she told me that I swear a lot. And I was like, you know what, fine, fair enough. I definitely do swear quite a bit, and she was a sensitive soul. And I was like, okay, around you, I will do my best to tame it down. It's not like it's, I don't know, it's not like it's super cool or whatever, it just shows a limited vocabulary. So I was like, okay. And that's what we do. We encourage others to be able to ask for what they want. And this honestly means if you're brave enough, if you're bold enough, if you're willing to be vulnerable, you can start to have the exact relationship that you want. You can get exactly what you want because you're willing to have this dialogue. But it is difficult, okay? It is you putting yourself out there, hoping that they're not just going to destroy you and think that, fuck you and your request, you're an arsehole. And there are ways to be able to communicate this, and it's something I've worked on. It's showing that I'm not perfect either. I'm acknowledging there are a bunch of things that I'm sure I do wrong. But in that example, when I was speaking to the girl outside Tesco's, if you listen to that back, not once did I accuse her of being mean or being any horrible thing. I was just like, hey, in this moment, it felt like this was happening. It felt like your behavior was this way. I was speaking to how she'd behaved, not who she was. I even reassured her of how I thought she wasn't this person, but in this instant, it was different because that's what people want to feel like. I'm there trying to encourage the best out of her to get the relationship that I want, not just be some mean, vindictive guy. So working on your ability to communicate in this way is essential to getting the relationship you want. Okay, for anyone wondering, the OIM method was simply open your mouth. I missed to say that. It was a one-shot video and I was trying to remember quite a lot of stuff. But that is what it means because that is all it takes. It's learning to open your mouth and communicate and stay away from the covert contracts. Anyway, back to the one take attempt. The idea of leaving things unspoken, it's a Neil Strauss quote that unspoken expectations lead to premeditated resentments, and that's what's in store for you. You'll begin to resent each other, you won't have what you want, and it'll all be down to the way that you communicate who you are and what you want. And if you're a guy and you struggle with communication, this feels like a topic for you that you genuinely do struggle with, well, I have a video where I highlight, especially if you're a nice guy, the way that people fall down, especially me, in communicating. So if you want to take your communication to the next level, check out this video, and it details the #1 mistake nice guys make in how they speak, which keeps them single and alone.